So today we're talking about probably I don't know. I feel like I talk to a lot of entrepreneurs all the time and they feel really triggered about funnels, right? And there's like a lot of energy around funnels. And I think a lot of the time it's because there's not a lot of focus and clarity. And when we don't have focus and clarity, we feel overwhelmed. And so today I want to give you a little bit of my belief on funnels, where and how they should be integrated into a business that hopefully will give you a little bit more clarity on how it looks inside of your business. Because I don't think that we need to have these big complicated funnels and have to have a whole funnel team and everything else to be able to have a successful business. And can we do that? Of course. Do we do that when we want to, scale more and more and more, and we want to go from 5 million to 10 million or whatever it might be? Absolutely. But what I see is this is really, really bad sort of pattern inside of this online marketing and sales world. And the pattern is, well, let me take this funnel that probably should be utilized when I have a $3 million business and let me implement it for my $50,000 a year business. And then, of course, what happens is not only does it not work, but you can become frustrated, you become overwhelmed. All this new technology, you've never really been taught how to use, maybe hiring copywriters and designers, all these different types of things. And so I want to get back to the basics of this. And my background was in marketing and as a marketing agency and helping businesses be able to bring in new customers. And funnels were a part of it, but I didn't come from a background of direct marketing. I didn't come from a background of trying to get people to open the mail and get mail offers, direct marketing, which is what a lot of marketing is based on. A lot of marketing and online marketing and sales got transferred from more traditional direct marketing that was very popular in the 70s, 80s, 90s. Nothing wrong with that. In the 2000s, nothing wrong with that. But what the internet allowed us to do, in my opinion, is to be able to speed up the level of communication that we can have with a potential customer, somebody that we want to work with. Being able to have that conversation back and forth allows for a much more valuable conversation versus just a direct sales conversation. So today we're going to go into funnels and how I believe that they should be utilized, because the ROI method, up to this point, we reviewed ROI, right, the 3 parts over the last 3 days. The time's been flying by, day 4 here now. And we talked about relevancy, we talked about omnipresence, we talked about intimacy. And really what you got to realize is that when you do this, the importance of your funnel decreases drastically. Your need to have the best landing page or the best sales page or the best ads, your ability to have to look at all this data and analyze it and do 4 different split tests and all these types of things, it starts decreasing. And I know this in my own life because I'm not some crazy data-oriented marketer. I'm really not. Well, I'm a person that believes that as long as I continually update and build relevancy with the people that I want to work with, the people I'm excited to work with, the people I know I can help, that I'm always delivering amazing content and value and utilizing the 13 content types and really being in front of people. And then utilizing intimacy in 3 C's of intimacy, the rest will take care of itself over time. The rest of it is actually more of a time question, right? It's more of a question of, let me just keep on doing this and keep on doing this and keep on doing this. And if I'm delivering value to people, people are going to see value in working with me. That's what's worked over the last 7 years for me, since I've started utilizing a personal brand and started working with people in the way that I do. And so I'm not the person to look at all these different ad campaigns and, be like, well, that's the best ad and that's the best copy and that's the best this. I'm more of a holistic, let me do everything. Let me do these things that I know are in alignment with me. They feel balanced for me. They help me have harmony in my life. And that might change in different seasons. But by utilizing this, we take the pressure off of what I've experienced is the overwhelming aspect that entrepreneurs have when it comes to the word funnels. And so that's I think that's really, really important to know, because if you kind of have this obsession about, the data, obsession about having the perfect funnel or trying to make that one funnel that works, instead of looking at it as more of a human basis, because the ROI method is based upon being able to bring kind of the human into marketing, right? Making it so that we're thinking about what works for us and what our identity is. And then at the same time, who are we identifying with? And through omnipresence, being able to deliver value to more and more people and create more and more energetic connections that are, more deeply woven, right? And then finally, being able to utilize intimacy to just allow the person to be seen and heard. Most marketing, talked about this a second ago, most marketing is like this, right? This is direct marketing. So you have your person, and then you have a sales page, or you have a webinar, or you have something that is trying to bring someone from the sidewalk to the slow lane to the fast lane and to become a customer right away. So what happens when you do this is everything we don't want, right? We have massively high marketing costs. We have super high refund rates. We have customers we don't really feel connected to, people that we can't even help. It's getting a bunch of intake forms for your program or one-on-one and being like, I can't even help these people. Or even more, this person doesn't even understand how I'm relevant to them or important to them. Right? And so there's just nothing where it drags out the energy. Yesterday I talked about in the Q&A a little bit, I talked about how, business is this kind of like energetic circle, right? And so, the more energy that we're optimizing for, the more profitability we're going to have, the better it's going to feel, the more balanced, more harmony we can actually bring. And so, most businesses that utilize direct marketing, what I've noticed is there's kind of like, it's like this, it's not really like an energetic, the circle of energy really doesn't kind of translate that well. And you've kind of got, all these sort of, energy leaks in the business, right? And the largest energy leak is the entrepreneur feeling like they're not on purpose. It's the entrepreneur feeling like they're always one campaign away from not having a successful business. Because when you do this, right? When you do this, and let's say you have a marketing funnel, let's say this does work. I'm not saying that this can't work. I'm just saying that for most entrepreneurs that don't have audience, don't have money, doing this is really difficult. So here's what happens when you do this sort of direct marketing approach where you're just trying to get the people that are in the fast lane. The scenario that you're creating is you're always trying to hit the jackpot in a way. Okay. So think about it this way, with this workshop, if this workshop does nothing more than just be able to create an energetic connection with however many people signed up to it, I know that that's going to have a positive impact for the universe, which is going to expand the energy of the universe, which is going to come back on me because I'm the one facilitating that. Okay. Now, if I'm doing a direct marketing and this is my only thing, this is my only way to be able to make money. This is my only way. I have one campaign, I have one funnel, that's all I'm focused on. And it's all just direct marketing. It's not based upon value and omnipresence and intimacy. Well, someday this is not going to work. Someday the attention is going to cost too much. Ads are going to cost too much. The campaign's not going to work. And now you got to kind of try to figure out how to get another one-hit wonder. And so what you end up seeing here is businesses that are kind of built on a singular campaign, a singular direct marketing campaign. And, you might do 10 and one hits. And now because you're only focused on one, when that no longer works, your entire business starts to deplete energy, which means that your business it's going to be stagnant and no longer grow. So I'm not a huge fan of this, right? I've never used this inside of my business because I don't like that. I like diversification. I like being able to have multiple sources of income in my actual life, in my business. I want it so that everything that I create, everything that I put out there is continually allowing people to see me as being relevant to them, allowing me to continually build a relationship through omnipresence with those people, and to being able to strengthen that energetic cord so that when it's the time for myself and that person to work together, it feels aligned, it feels balanced, it feels good, and I am able to actually help them. And I think most people would prefer that version. This version, to me, feels a little more like gambling than it feels like actually being able to build a business from this kind of stable area, stable place. So what I want to do instead is, I want to go out to the same person and then I want to bring them through ROI, right? I want to make sure that I'm relevant to them and they identify with me as somebody that I can actually help them. I want to be able to continually be in front of them when it comes to omnipresence, right? So relevancy, omnipresence, intimacy. Yeah, so I want to filter them through that, right? And this is going to allow me to build what I've talked about: money, audience, relationships, influence, right? Which are long-term assets and long-term value, which makes it so that I can continually make more and more money, help more and more people into the future. So instead of 1,000 people coming in and being like, all right, there's 10 I can help, and the 990, see you later, I'm never going to talk to you again, I'm not going to nurture you, I'm not going to help you, there's nothing I can do, I'm only going to focus on these 10. Well, in my opinion, those 990 energetic connections that you said no to, even though they could have been people that you're relevant to, that you could very easily nurture and turn into actual customers through the ROI method, we're just kind of disregarding those people as people that are ready to buy, or disregarding them as people that we even want to help. And so it's kind of like this element of not really, it's like if you had a friendship and you're not nurturing the friendship. Right? You have different levels of friends, best friends, people that are more acquaintances, and so on and so forth. And this is kind of the element of just calling on friends when you need them versus being able to actually nurture a relationship. And so this builds money in the bank, it builds audience, it builds influence, and these are long-term assets, right? These are long-term assets that generate revenue on a monthly and a yearly basis. And I'd much rather have this version versus going direct for the sale right away, right? Of course, there's going to be some people that want to buy right away. But optimizing our whole business just for those people, just for the fast laners, generally makes it so that it's a really, 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 it just doesn't build a business that scales quickly, right? You may get some kind of quick hits and it might feel good at the beginning, but your ability to actually scale it in a sustainable nature is going to be really difficult. So I also want to go through this, which is kind of like the long-term effect, right? The long-term effect of doing this. Right. And you got to realize that everything that I teach, I'm very much looking into the future, right? If you're an entrepreneur, you're going to be the entrepreneur for the rest of your life. Now, you may change what you do and you may morph what you do, but the money and the audience and the influence that you essentially create along the way can be easily transferred. Let's say in a year of time, right? Let's say in a year of time, you generate 10,000 new leads, 10,000 new energetic connections, right? So we're going to put 10,000 up here on the board. Okay, so we got 10,000. Now we know that about 7,000 of them are going to be somewhere around in the sidewalk. And again, most of the marketing I recommend is a little less oriented in the sidewalk, but we're going to go worst case scenario here. Okay, worst case scenario, we're going to go with here. All right, so 7,000. Let's say that another, 2,500 are in the slow lane, and let's say there's 400 in the fast lane, and let's say out of those 1,000 people, we're going to have 100 customers. So that's year one, right? So that's year one. So then, right, let's just go over here a little bit. Year two, let's say that you generate 20,000 leads because you're able to take some of the money that they generated and put it back into more lead generation. Right now, you can scale these numbers to be, 10,000, 100,000, 1,000, 500, 100, okay? But what now in year two is you're going to have people that are coming from the sidewalk because of your omnipresence and intimacy and being able to put really, really great funnels and content and who you are out there. We're going to have people going from the sidewalk to the slow lane to the fast lane to becoming customers. I could stop spending money on ads for probably a couple of years. And I would just literally, because I've had so many people over the past 5 years, 6 years that have come from here down to here, I'd still have a great multi-million-dollar business, okay? But now we have all these people coming down, and then we also have the people coming down here in year two. And then think about year three and year four and year five. And so from a supply and demand perspective and from an omnipresence perspective, you're essentially creating a situation where you're not only increasing the number of energetic cords or who you're relevant to as you're building it, but omnipresence, and through utilizing, of course, this structure, allows for more and more people to actually end up becoming a customer of yours in an automatic way. It's this kind of automatic waterfall effect versus you having to go out and just market to these people. And then once those people have been marketed to, people say yes or no, and you move on, and then you move on, and then you're not nurturing them, you're not talking to them, you're not using omnipresence or intimacy or even re-relevancy to allow that person to see that you can help them. And this is what most people do. And this happens because people are either lazy or they feel like they need that quick result, that quick dopamine result inside of their business. But doing it in this structure allows you to have you're going to get a little less results than the fast lane only marketing, right? It's going to be a little less, it's going to be a little slower at the beginning, but over time, this is the most sustainable model for being able to actually have marketing and sales. And it actually feels good because the last thing you want to do is have to get on the phone and really hardcore convince somebody that you are the person to work with. Okay. So I want to share with you in context the relevancy funnel, okay, which is one of the few funnels that I believe makes sense inside of the business. So kind of think about it this way. We have an audience, okay, we just talked about this a second ago. We have an audience, and I'll make this literal in a second of what it looks like. We have an audience. We utilize our relevancy filter, right? Our 8 parts of relevancy, right? Everything from our avatar, positioning, levels of consciousness for business. Then we use intimacy and omnipresence, and we're continually showing offers. And when it's the right time for someone to say, yes, that's me, they're buying from us. Okay, so of course at the beginning, some people are going to come in and say, yeah, you know what, I'm in the fast lane, I'm ready to buy, let's do this. Some other people are going to be in the slow lane on the high level, and they're like, well, you know what, I need some time for this, right? I need some life stuff to be able to align. You're going to have some people that are like, you know what, I love this, I vibe with it, it's just not right time right now. There's something going on. And there's going to be other people that kind of stop right here and say, this is not my person. I don't, I'm not in for that. And so what this allows us to do is to create this consistent audience of people that we're able to continually go back to, launch new offers, talk to them on a consistent basis. And we're going to end up creating this trickle effect of new customers on a daily, weekly basis, as well as when we're in kind of that more energetic season, when we're wanting to launch or when we're wanting to create larger elements or larger pockets of energy or money, we're able to do that as well. Okay, and so this allows us to build this secondary core asset, which is audience, right? Which in my opinion is actually more valuable than even money, right? Money can only make so much money from its money. You're kind of lucky if you get 10 to 20% return. If you have $1 million, you get 10 to 20% return. You're doing pretty good. Right? I guarantee you the return on an audience when you have the right business and you have the right personal brand and you have the right relevancy and omnipresence, intimacy, it's going to be a lot more than that. Right? It's going to be far more than that. One of the best investments you can ever have is audience. And the beautiful thing is, it's not one of these things where you have to go out and invest a bunch of money and wait for the money to come back. It's going to start from the get-go, but it just gets stronger and stronger and stronger, and the return becomes bigger and bigger and bigger over time. All right, so this is just an example of what this kind of relevancy funnel might look like inside of a business. All right. So again, we have audience. We're going to use a slow lane, all right, lead magnet. In this case, it's a guide, right? It's a guide, a little 15-page guide talking about this. Or it could be, a 15-minute meditation. It could be a 3-part video series, right? Finding what works for your audience comes down to understanding what you enjoy, what you want to have out there, what level of consciousness the person is, and what delivery system is going to make the most sense. All right, so that is slow lane guide. Right, so they come in, and this is going to really inform them on the process, value, authority, proof. Okay, and so then they're going to have the ability to kind of switch lanes, a lane switch from the slow lane to the fast lane. So they may come here and they might just stay there. They might be on your email list, your social media. We're going to utilize omnipresence in between this time, or they might, download that guide and right from the get-go be like, wow, I want to know more about that, and sign up for a training or a workshop or a phone call or something that is more intensive, or they may just join your Facebook group or something that has a higher intimacy. Right. One of the things about, the relevancy funnel and everything that I teach is like, there is not one funnel that is right for everybody. And there is this combination, I'll talk about it in a few minutes. There's this combination of being able to be where you are, where the customer is, and being able to understand this balance in between. Because if you don't want to do a video series, don't do a video series. If you want to just send daily emails to people, if you just want to make everything go to your Facebook group, if you want whatever it is, I have some clients, they do these meditations. Right now, if I did meditations for business owners, would it probably work? It's just not what I want to do. I'm not put on the planet, I don't believe, to do meditations for entrepreneurs. Right? But there's a lot of people that need that. And there's a lot of people that can do that. So maybe that is their strategy, right? Then once they're over here, the fast lane, Then we're utilizing omnipresence and intimacy, continually showing new offers or the same offer. It doesn't have to be all these different offers, right? It can be one or two offers, right? What we're really doing is allowing for these offers to be angled differently, right? Through our omnipresence, we're talking about the same thing over and over, but we're talking about it in a new way, a new light for people. And then finally, this process allows us to take somebody that doesn't know us and bring them all the way down to being able to actually exchange energy and exchange money with us for what we're able to actually help them with. Okay. So that's a relevancy funnel. So put into another way here to just describe it with even more clarity. Someone's coming in, again, this doesn't have to be a guide. Right? This doesn't have to be a guide. If you don't like writing, don't do a guide. If your customer it doesn't like writing, don't do a guide. If your customer is an intuitive person, well, maybe the slow lane is a 10-minute video that talks about something on that spiritual realm that you're helping with. If they're willful, they probably do need an actual guide or maybe a video series. If someone's intellectual, definitely do a guide. Right? You got to remember levels of consciousness align with what type of lead magnet you might use, along with what you actually enjoy doing. Right? If you don't enjoy writing and you're even going with an intellectual group, maybe you do a video case study and bring them through some data. Right? But right here, as soon as they come in, we're starting omnipresence via at least email. And then we're retargeting, we're indoctrinating them into our world and helping them go from the sidewalk to the slow lane to the fast lane. Okay? And then once they come through this fast lane, they're continually being retargeted with omnipresence through ads, email, social media, video, blogs, right? And through this omnipresence and intimacy, either through the fast lane, omnipresence, or these different elements, we're able to bring them to the offer and have them at the place where they see you as relevant. They're in the fast lane. They're ready to make a decision. They're having that moment of saying, yes, I am ready, as we talked about in day 3. Yes, I'm ready for the new life path. Okay. So some questions to kind of be thinking about for this, and then we're gonna go back to it again in a little more detail. What is the primary lane if we're going to be building a funnel? If we're going to be pushing this out there, what is the primary lane we're going after? My recommendation for most people is a slow lane and fast lane, right? We're trying to bring slow lane and then fast lane, because if we go for just fast lane, our ad costs are going to be high, our attention is going to be high. We're generally not going to be able to get customers that are ready to buy right away that end up becoming really good customers that have a lifetime value, a low refund rate. What is the most effective delivery type of being able to deliver your information, your value, your mindset shift for that person? Right? And I'll say that this delivery type, again, kind of is based on this, which is you're sort of balancing, this is a seesaw, you're balancing you and your energy with your ideal customer. When I do workshops, I love doing workshops. I love being in front of the camera. I love talking about this. I love being able to, the fact that we can record this, utilize this in social media. We can resell it. We can make it evergreen. Right? I can be here with you. And so from that end, I'm attracting a customer that is open to being at a workshop. Right? I'm attracting a customer that is pretty ideal inside of my levels of consciousness and who I'm actually targeting. Right? Now, if I did something that was I'll actually give you a great example. A while back, did a funnel, and I would say it's a little bit out of alignment, right? But the best way to find what's in alignment, sometimes do things that aren't in alignment, and that's how you find the guided way. And so it was this video series, and I did the video series. And the video series actually, it was great for anybody that was a customer, but for me, I just didn't feel that much energy around it. And I probably should have instead done a guide, or I should have done something that becomes more natural to me, a video series, a workshop like this. And that funnel didn't work that well, right? It was good for the customer, but it wasn't good for me. And so when I showed up and put my energy into it, it really didn't work. It didn't feel like I was being the authentic self that is needed for me to find those aligned people that I'm relevant to. And so that's why I always tell people, in building your funnel, do not build something. And this is why, in a lot of what we do at Modern Business Academy, in our Plus program, VIP program, and in everything that we do, one of the largest elements is about personalization. One of the biggest elements is being able to look at, okay, what's going to work for your business? What's going to work for you? What's going to work for your mindset? It's like this. It's like this. I'm more specific. This is not a great triangle, but we'll go for it. There's you up here, there's your business right here, and your customer right here. And if we don't get you somewhere in the middle of these, where you feel good, number one, your business has profitability, and your customer has results and feels good, well, you're either going to burn out, your business is not going to be profitable, or your customer is not going to get results, and it's going to be hard to get more of them. Okay, and so the reason everything has to start with, and this is everything in business, this is just not marketing and sales. So the reason why you had to have energy around what you want to put out there in the world, and we'll get into this and each part of this in a minute, is because the entire business starts with your energy. Like, you are the one putting the energy into the business. And so if that's not balanced and in harmony and aligned, this entire triangle, again, it's going to be all over the place. And it's going to feel bad. It's going to feel out of alignment. You're going to wake up in the morning, you're going to feel like you have a job instead of being able to live on purpose and have a lot of fun. This is why most people have triggers around funnels. This is why most people don't implement them, right? Because they listen to someone that's quote unquote a funnel guru, somebody that has done it before, and they're like this, right? They're like this. They're like, okay, here's the box. Here's you. Now fit inside this box and you'll become a millionaire. It doesn't work. And if it does work, let's say it does work, any money you make when you're not in alignment will vanish. So what happens is we've got to take you and build a business and a funnel and marketing that works for you so that you can wake up every single day and you can consistently do it, so that you consistently have omnipresence, right? If you don't want to have an email list, you shouldn't do an email list. I know everyone's going to say that do an email, don't do it. If you don't feel like ads are in alignment, then you shouldn't do it. Anything that does not feel like it is aligned to what gives you energy, not fair, right? Fair, totally different. Fair is different. Right? Talking about what gives you energy, right? Fear and anxiety can feel like energy, but fear and anxiety generally coming from trauma, fear of success, and their mindset. We'll talk about that a little bit later too, and tomorrow specifically. And so this is why when entrepreneurs come to us, I built our entire business around making it so that I never put somebody in a box again. Because I built companies that did this, right? Back in 2018, I built a structure that worked for me, okay? And so there was this relevancy funnel. There was a very specific relevancy funnel. And now, of course, in life, we don't learn until we do things. So there's nothing wrong with it. People had amazing success with this, but I found something to be true, which is I had this relevancy funnel box, and it was like step-by-step structure, and willful people and reactive people, they love structured boxes, right? They love being like, hey, this is the proven path. This is the way to do it. But what I found is it burns people out because they're trying to chase something that may not be part of their actual path on a planet. So I'd have the person over here and I'm like, hey, listen, if you implement this, come, and at the time it was called the relevancy engine. You actually get access when you join Modern Business Academy of any level, you get all that content. So you can it's very, very valuable stuff, but only if it's in alignment with your plan. So I'd say, hey, listen, if you do this, on the other side, you're going to be able to scale. And it was step by step. It was like 17 steps, step by step, step by step, step by step. It had a lot of success. It was a very successful business and it got a lot of success. But what happened on the other side was, and that I didn't realize and I didn't understand at that time, is that without that alignment of this being the right actual move and for somebody, it created a business that was out of balance. Doesn't matter if it's team, doesn't matter if it's finances, doesn't matter what it is, this is applicable, but particularly for marketing and sales, right? We want to make it So we build the entire strategy around you. So we're officially launching Modern Business Academy next month in September. If you're watching the replay, it might already be launched. And we started this in March, and it's the slowest business I ever scaled. And the reason why is because I said, well, I want to be able to build a business that is able to give the structure and the help to someone based upon where they are, based upon their mindset, based on where they are in the business, because no entrepreneur is the same. And the last thing I want to do, the best way that I can be out of alignment is to have a business that's making people be out of alignment. So what is aligned? Well, alignment for me now is to build a business that allows someone to have a balanced business that creates harmony. And you can only do that when the business is built around you and that this triangle is in alignment so that we have a business that is profitable, that works for you, and that's good for the customer. Because if it's just good for the customer, and let's say it's good for the customer and let's say this happens all the time. I get somebody coming to me, they're making $1 million, $2 million a year. They're miserable, right? They're miserable. They want to blow their business up. I've been there too. Because they didn't build it on this, right? They went to this mentor and this advisor and they did this thing, they followed this thing, they got all the business success, right? This happens a lot when you're in intellectual consciousness only. Right? And so all that business, all the success is great, but you're like, well, this just doesn't work. I don't want to show up anymore. I'm wanting to withdraw from the business because it's not in alignment with my actual self. This is actually why, right? This is actually why, I talk about the 3 levels of consciousness: willful, intellectual, intuitive. This is why when you're looking at your marketing and looking at your sales, looking at your funnel, who you're talking to, these need to be integrated. Because not having that integration between this makes it so that you're like, hey, well, this works on paper. This funnel works on paper. We put data to it. We put traffic to it. It works. Let's do it. That might bring you money, but money and fulfillment is much better. Right? Same thing. If you do willful, you're like, you know what? This outreach strategy where I reach out to 500 people every week and 10 of them buy keeps on working. But I'm also working 60 hours a week. Well, listen, we can work 60 hours a week. Right? We can work 60. But I guarantee you, we can't stay in willfulness consciousness and evolve as a human being, because willful consciousness is not on the high. If we're trying to get to self-actualization, have the best version of ourselves, willful consciousness is not one that we can be in on an everyday basis. Maybe a couple days a week, right? Maybe 5 days a month, but not all the time. And on the opposite side of willfulness, intuitive, right? You can go to the mountain and manifest. But you've got to come down and bring it into the 3D. One of the things that I do with a lot of entrepreneurs, particularly that are intuitive, spiritual, is take the 5D, take the not able to really put into words, not really able to sell, and bring it into the 3D, able to bring the intuitive, bring it into the intellectual so that we actually know what we can do so we can come and actually do it, right? Because there's a lot of people that have some amazing things they need to put into the world, but we've got to be able to bring it into the 3D, because if not, it can't be consumed by other human beings, okay? No, I went on a tangent there. But this is the pieces that are missing. Someone asked me a question today, what's missing in marketing? This is what's missing in marketing. They said, what's missing in marketing right now? This is what's missing in marketing. We're all trying to use frameworks and cookie cutters for some funnel. We're trying to funnel hack other people that we don't understand. We don't understand. Well, and instead of us following ourselves, we need to understand the strategy and we need to understand the tactics. The easiest way to be able to do that, of course, is being able to, follow somebody that's done it before. But the last thing we should ever do is be like, here's the box, fit in the box or don't fit in the box. And unfortunately, most programs, most courses, most ways of helping other entrepreneurs are in that box. Generally, it's because, and this is nothing against the person that's doing this, it's generally because that person only had success with that one way. And we teach what we've been successful with. Right. And so my belief is either find the person that's teaching the box that you fit inside, or to be able to work with somebody that understands how to put the business around you. Okay. So the next part, What gives you clarity and context in your funnel that allows for someone to see you as being relevant? Right? So what inside of a funnel, what allows somebody to contextualize who you are and how you're important, and to give clarity of how that's important to them? Because really, a relevancy funnel, any funnel, that's the most important part. Trying to convince them to buy things, it shouldn't be the actual strategy of the funnel. If we're selling to reactive people, that will work. Every other level of consciousness, it won't, right? It'll work very small percentage. What we really want to do is we want to make it so that your funnel makes it so that now when they see an email from you, a social media post, a retargeting ad, a video, they have the context deeply woven inside of their subconscious so that you're able to bring them closer to being in the fast lane and becoming a customer. And the last one here is, what type of funnel does someone need to be able to resonate with you? It may not even be a funnel. Right? It might just literally be, hey, listen, get on the email list because every single day I'm going to be sending you some cool stuff. Join the Telegram group because I'm going to be sending you some really cool stuff about XYZ. It might not be this traditional funnel that we're like this page and this page and this page and this page and this page. That might not work for you, or it might, right? Right? For your audience, it might be, okay, well, first they need to see this, and then they need to see this, and then so there's that combination of what feels good for you energetically, and then what does that person, what experience do they need to go through? And if we thought about funnels as an experience of being able to bring someone from their current mindset to the mindset they need in order to create the transformation, if that's all we thought about and we stopped thinking about the technology and the ad and getting overwhelmed by things that we might not necessarily be masters at, but we got back to the human element of what does that person need to experience, this stuff becomes much easier to actually understand, digest, and implement inside of our business. All right, so to implement the relevancy funnel, let's just talk about the relevancy funnel, and I'm going to talk about a couple of other different funnels for the future, right? That I want for anybody when they're working with me for a year to 2 years. This is the map. This is what I want. This is not necessarily, it's a blueprint and a framework with a lot of ability for someone to mold it the way that feels good energetically for themselves. Kind of choose your own adventure, color your own coloring book. Right. So for the relevancy funnel, we need a slow lane pillar, right? Whether it's a guide or it could be a video series, could be an ebook, or whatever it might be. Fast lane, right? So a fast lane, it could be a webinar, it could be a workshop, could be some level that's allowing that person to understand the solution, understand their vision, be able to take care of their objections, and bring them to a place of saying, yeah, you know what, I want something new for my life, right? I want this new path. And a conversion method. So what's a conversion method? So it could be a phone call, it could be a text message, could be the buy button, order page, right? The ability for someone to say, yeah, this is me, I'm doing this, let's do this. The landing pages, the thank you pages, and so on, and then the email sequences. Now, everyone's going to tell you, all this automation. And you need, this thing set up and this thing set up and all these, all this fancy stuff. I promise you, it needs to be about 1/100th as quote unquote fancy and automated as you think it needs to be. Okay. Why? Because intimacy allows you to be able to build a business, especially at the first million. Now, once you get to $1 million a year, now we want to start implementing things that quote unquote are a little bit more fancy. Why? Because now from an energy perspective, we need to be able to automate some of the things that in the past you would utilize intimacy with. But doing them at the beginning slows down the energy, slows down the momentum. And one of the largest advantages you have at the sub-$1 million business is the ability to have intimacy with the leads that are coming through the door and those people that are in the slow lane and fast lane. So kind of think about it this way. All right. Think about it this way. So I believe everybody should have some level of an evergreen way to contextualize what they do and who they are, right? That could be the funnel, right? So whether it's a guide, whether it's a video training, whether it's a video series, whether that is literally a checklist, whether that is something on their social media page, whether that is a 3-minute video, it does not matter what it is, right? There's not like one best way to do it. There's one best way to do it for you, And then you're also going to find way 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. But we want to have that, and we want to have it evergreen so that it's always going. And then we want to live launch things into the world, right? Whether it's lead magnets, funnels, these types of things that we just want to put out there. So people ask, well, how do I create the best lead magnet? I'm like, well, what do you want to put out there? And so the person's like, well, I nothing really. I'm like, well, okay, well, go and start talking to some of your customers. Go and start talking to some of your leads. Go and start getting empathetic with the people that you're around. Start helping them. And they're like, well, yeah, I mean, but what? What's that going to do about my launch? And the answer is this: is if you do a launch, and you're coming to the launch of a funnel or anything, and your expectation is, I'm going to get clients, I'm going to get money, I'm doing this so I can get this. You're going to create a needy energy in everything you do, and it's going to be a very, very ego-oriented business. Now, what happens? What happens when that happens? Well, what's going to happen is that you're not going to feel excited. You're not going to feel on purpose. You're not going to get the right customers. You're not going to want to do it. And so because of this, and so you're going to the average, the mind, right? The mind has scarcity embedded in it because of society, our parents, school, debt, all the things, right? All these constructs. And so you're going to say, well, I can't do that. I can't just kind of launch when I want to launch. And my reply is this: if you launched something, if you launched a funnel, if you put something out there and you really loved it, and if it was an expression of your authentic self of how you want to help somebody, people are going to feel that in such a deep way. It is the highest level of magnetization there is in a business, is to put something out there that you really actually love for the person that you really want to help. And so what ends up happening is people put funnels out there, and it's the wrong funnel because they didn't start with relevancy. They didn't start with understanding who they want to be in the world. Because most of us, unfortunately, most of society are running around playing a character. We're actors in our own life. This is why relevancy is so important. Because once you actually get a sense for who you are, you can understand who you really want to help. And now when we go to launch a live funnel or a live workshop or a live whatever it is, we feel excited about it. And when we feel that excitement, now we can take that live thing and now we can turn that evergreen, right? So we have these evergreen assets, right? It's this funnel, that funnel, all these different types of things. But instead of it coming from a place of, well, I got to get a funnel because I want to make more money, it comes from, I just got to get this out there, right? I love the phrase, if it feels like a poop you got to get out, then that is it. That is it. That is the thing. When I put something out there, if I don't feel that way, if I don't feel that excitement of being able to put it out there, and this has always been like that, even when I didn't have money, even when I was in debt, it would flop. And if it did succeed financially, it kind of felt like the money didn't stay in my bank account. It's like the energy leaked. And in hindsight, we can build a brilliant business doing this. And so this is what it looks like in the future, right? So when I mentor people, when I look at the next year or 2 years, this might be a version of what they created. They may have a book that they've launched, and a guide, and a training, and a low-ticket product, right? All of these things, they live launched and turned evergreen so that we're generating revenue on a daily basis. We're indoctrinating people on a daily basis. We're bringing people from the sidewalk, slow lane, fast lane, while you literally sleep. All right, and so of course, all of this is going to the offers that we have inside of our business, right? I'm not going to be talking about offers because this is a marketing and sales business, but there's 4 core offers inside of your business that you should all have. I'm not going to go into that today or tomorrow because that's its own workshop. And then through all of these things, we're also doing social media omnipresence and intimacy that reinforce what someone learned in our book or our guide or training or whatever it might be. It doesn't have to be a guide. It could be a meditation, could be a video series, whatever it is. I don't have some prescription for you on what you should do that I can tell all of you. That's why we do personalized assessments in our programs. So I understand where you actually are and can give you the prescription based on everything I've learned from scaling hundreds of businesses past 7 figures and probably thousands past multiple 6 figures at this point. Okay? And so then this is where growth comes from. And so this idea of one funnel is going to get me there is really not true. This idea of one thing is going to get me there, this one, it is a combination of everything that is really the expression of your authentic self that you put out there in the world to be able to help people, which is why I tell people you should be helping people you actually enjoy to help. Because I guarantee you, this shit's hard if you're just doing it for the money. If you're just doing it for the money because you're like, well, this niche is a good niche or this business is a good business. And I get at the beginning, you may have to do that for a little bit, but as soon as you get into the ability to bring this authentic leadership into your business, the easier it is to do all of this over the span of a year or two, maybe even 3, so that you build a business that has great stability and consistency and clarity, right? Consistency comes from being able to have these different energetic containers out there in the world that people are able to fill and take, right? If you didn't get it by now, the funnel isn't what makes somebody say yes. So people think it's like the funnel, and people think it's like the sales page. People think it's the order form, it's whatever it might be. But if you actually want marketing that works and doesn't stress you out and creates return today, tomorrow, and the next 10 years, what makes someone buy is that they see it being relevant. They have that energetic cord with you. You're helping them consciously and intentionally, bringing them into the fast lane. And you're allowing that person to say yes to the commitment of the next level in their life. Okay? So most marketing's trying to do that in less than 24 hours. Is it possible? Yes. But it's highly stressful to do. And my version is, you know what? Why am I trying to run my business like I'm a day trader? Let's look at the future. I'm going to be an entrepreneur for the rest of my life. I'm going to be helping people for the rest of my life. Why don't I embrace that? Right? Why don't I embrace that fact instead of trying to get some quick win, quick fix that's not even in alignment with me? That's the beauty about this method. Then let's go into the future a little bit. I use this kind of perfect funnel stack. Now, keep in mind, it might not be perfect for you. I'm just telling you, this is what I see most businesses that are successful use. Inside of this, it's kind of like, what makes sense for me. So we have a relevancy funnel, okay? That's always bringing in new people into our world and being able to allow us to contextualize ourselves to them. Right? Seeing where they are inside of the sidewalk, slow lane, fast lane, being able to actually indoctrinate them into our world, see if they're our vibe or not. Then we have some type of way to be able to turn those people into actual customers, whether that's a webinar or it's a Facebook group, whatever it might be. Then we have some type of small offer. You're inside of that right here. Maybe if it's a workshop, maybe it's $17. It's something that really helps them. Right? And the reason why we actually do that is, and I'm actually running another program right now. It's a low ticket intensive where I'm teaching people how to do workshops like this that generally, for the most part, have audiences and some pre-existing revenue. And the reason I tell people to do this is because energetically we can pay for this, right? So from the small offer, we can have a bunch of people come and get help from us. We put really great goodwill into the universe, expanding the universe. And the payback is I don't have to take profit from my core offers to be able to pay for meeting new people every single day of my life without me even having to think about it. And then finally, being able to continually do launches when and if you feel something new that you want to put out there, right? I probably have a launch every month for the next 4 months because I got some stuff I just am so excited to put out there that I've never put out there before. And it's time to do it when you feel so excited about it that even if no one showed up, you would just love to be able to be in the energy of the creation of whatever that is. Launches should become the expression of our authentic creativity. Instead, they've gotten monetized and they've gotten so far away from what I believe a launch can do. A launch has the ability to create energy around our creation and allow us to feel that we can finally put it out there. And for somebody else to deeply feel who we are, deeply have an experience with us. No matter who you are talking to, no matter if they're in reactive consciousness or intuitive consciousness, but instead we've given up that amazing ability and gift just solely to try to hit some money goal, which we would generally hit if we weren't so obsessed about the money goal. All right, so some mindsets here. You're never behind, ever. You're never behind. You're always in perfect timing. It takes years to add these different pieces that I've talked about today. It takes years. It takes years to be able to build these things. So when you look at somebody else or you're comparing yourself to somebody else, as the ego enjoys us to do, as our trauma sometimes enjoys us to do, you got to remember you're on your own path. You're never behind on this. Second one is perfection isn't possible. You can't make it perfect. It's about being able to go out and put it out there, be able to learn, so that we're able to continually be in a place of innovation and iteration. Because innovation is what entrepreneurs, that's the DNA of who we are. We love to innovate. We love to make things better. And so it's about iterating, and then being able to have the repetitions of those iterations. That's what builds our business, right? That's what builds our business. And then finally, energy rules all. What we find energy around is going to be what feels aligned to us. It's what we're going to enjoy, right? I can sit down, if I have energy around something, I can write 40 pages. I remember last year I wrote this 52-page guide, 52 pages before it was even put in, about how to recession-proof your business. And I was so passionate about that because I felt like I had something, I was at the right time in the right place, and I was able to help some people that were going through a hard time. And I wrote that in a single day. And that, if I didn't have energy around it, might have took me 2 months. I wrote it in a single day, got edited the next, and it was out to design. And within 4 days, I had a document that had ended up being downloaded hundreds of thousands of times across the world. Why? Because it was energy. I felt energy. I have this new, idea for a methodology around balance and harmony. I've been working on it in my mind. I've been thinking about it. And I know the timeline for me to show that and to share that with the world's coming up. And I know that the moment that I say, yeah, okay, it's time to do it, I feel so much excitement. I just want to yell it. And when we feel that, that's what we have to follow. So how do you just decide your stack, and how do you decide, how to make ROI work? My best answer to this is to realize that implementing the ROI method, relevancy, omnipresence, intimacy, implementing funnels, implementing anything into your business, it's literally a lifelong process. And you're going to implement one thing and then understand how that works a little better, and it's going to work over here and then over here and then over here and then over here. And some people try to go about it as, well, here, I'm going to create some big mega funnel. I'm going to create, all this stack, and I'm going to do it in a week, and I'm going to get it all done. And they do it and it fails, and they wonder why. And the truth is because there is a step-by-step process. When we do personalized assessments for the people that we work with, which I literally go through myself at every single one, right? It is based upon, we have about 40 questions, and I'm looking at their business, and I'm looking at where their finances are. I'm looking at where their life is from a family perspective. I'm looking at what they actually want, looking at what they say they're wanting, but they're not actually saying. I'm looking at their mindset, what mindset blocks they have. I'm looking at what unfair advantages. And then I'm saying, okay, cool. All right, we're going to implement it like this and this and this in this particular way. We're going to do stage 1 of omnipresence, but we're not going to worry about 2, 3, and 4 until you're here. Or then once you get that done, you're going to do this. And then once you get that done, you're going to do that. And what ends up happening when people go to implement funnels and marketing and sales is they're trying to do way too much because they have a fear that it's not going to work. They're going to have a fear that if it's not the right way, their entire business is going to collapse. Because deep down, most entrepreneurs have that feeling of, this is all going to go away. I'm not going to be able to do this. I'm not going to be successful. But if you can push past that, if you can release and dissolve that and realize that the world is the universe is incredibly abundant, and there's lots of people that we can help, right? We get into this pace of just a continual basis of getting better and better and better every day. And our marketing and sales continues to get better and better every day. Because I guarantee you look at us, you look at human beings from timeline. I made this video of me from 6 years ago versus now. There's a very small percentage of people that probably could have bought from Scott 6, 7 years ago. But every single year, every single month, every single day, I continually got better, got more of myself, more of my authenticity of who I am. And that allows you to really build the business you love, you like, what we talked about today. Allows you to build a funnel that actually makes sense for you versus something that doesn't. Right? So that's today. It's funnels. I really wanted to go from the strategy and the spiritual side of funnel building because it is a spiritual practice. Like there is a practice of actually being able to have something that feels real in alignment for you and feels balanced inside of your life. And when we do that, we're not going to be in a place where the funnel doesn't work. We're not going to be in a place where we give this funnel a massive level of control, where it's like, well, if the funnel doesn't work, the whole business doesn't work. Rather, the fact that we are putting things out there in the world that might look like funnels to somebody else, but to us, it's just us being able to put what we believe the world needs, our creativity of the world needs, and that allows us to attract more and more people. Our people, the people that we're relevant to, the people that we want to be in contact with, the people that we actually want to help evolve their lives, the people that we want to be omnipresent to on a daily basis, and the people that we really know we have a service or we have a transformation that's available for them. All right, so that is all for today. Love you all. See you later. Bye, everyone.